Spring's coming up, so people are going to be fertilizing plants, and I want to talk about fertilizer and your pets, because some fertilizers, a lot of them attract dogs, and dogs will dig up your plants. They will. Those spikes that you would think that, you know, they look like totally unnatural, but I think that they might make those with uric acid or something that might smell like urine to the dog. They'll dig those up. They'll also dig up other all-natural fertilizers like fish emulsion and stuff like that. Now, I want to be very clear. Nitrogen is nitrogen. It really doesn't matter where you get it. It's the same thing as like caffeine is caffeine. It doesn't matter if you get it from coffee or tea or Coke. Caffeine is caffeine. It's a chemical. Nitrogen is a chemical. So do you understand what I'm saying? To the plant, it really doesn't matter if it comes from just a purely chemical source or an all-natural source. That's how it is. Don't be thinking that one nitrogen is better than the other nitrogen, because nitrogen is nitrogen. It's like salt is salt. Does that make sense? I hope this makes sense. So if you use fish emulsion or something like that, your dog will dig that up. They will. They'll dig that up and they'll eat that. You don't want your dog eating the nitrogen that you're using for your plants. You know, I have a lot of experience with a lot of different dogs around different types of fertilizer, and I have found that most of the fertilizers you get, especially the ones that are natural, are going to attract the dog, and they'll dig up your garden. They will fuck your plants up. I have found that the only one that's really safe for dogs to be around is one of the really unnatural kind, and that's the kind that comes in a bag and it looks like little BBs, and you cast it on top of the soil. That stuff is, dogs are not attracted to it. I've used every kind, and at times I've had to, like, once I used it, it was on the plant. It took me, 2 weeks. I'd have to constantly be watching the dogs. Get away from my plants, They'll do anything to get at it. So that's what I'm telling you. I have a lot of experience with different dogs and different types of fertilizer, and I'm telling you for a fact, most fertilizers your dog will be attracted to. Even those little, Miracle Grow spikes, your dog will dig that up. I don't know what, they could be using uric acid or something to, urine to create that, and maybe the smell attracts the dog. But the only ones that I have found that really the dogs leave alone are the ones that are not natural, and they're just like little BBs, and you cast them on top of the soil. Dogs have zero interest in those. But if you use spikes, emulsion, anything like that, bat guano, that can attract the dog, and they'll dig up your plants. They'll leave, that fish emulsion, they'd eat that stuff. I think that if you use any type of fertilizer, you better make sure that the dog isn't attracted to it. If you use it, make sure, and you'll see if the dog's attracted to it, they're going to go right over to it. They'll start digging it up. If you let your dog out in your backyard, you're watching the dog, and the dog just has like zero interest in it, that's good. That's what you want. This has been my experience, like with my pawpaw trees. I only use the kind that comes in a bag that are little tiny BBs that you cast on top of the soil. You can dig up the soil a little bit and put them in there too, but that dogs have no interest in. So remember that. Nitrogen is just nitrogen. It's like caffeine, it's just caffeine. It doesn't matter where you're getting it. If you're getting it from a Red Bull or you're getting it from tea, caffeine is just caffeine. Nitrogen is just nitrogen. Be careful. Be careful. You don't want your dog eating nitrogen. So use a type of fertilizer that your dogs are not going to be interested in. And remember, if you're using a lot of compost and stuff like that, and you're using stuff in the compost that would be food sources and stuff like that, that'll attract the dog too. They'll rip your plants up, no problem.